All right, so today we're going to dive into one of the great intellectual battles of the 20th century. We're talking about the 1930s, two brilliant thinkers, and a huge debate over movies and music. But look, this was no simple academic squabble. Oh no, this was a high-stakes fight for the future of art, technology, and society itself. And what's wild is that this debate, it echoes in every single smartphone and social media feed we use today.
So at the very heart of this thing, you've got two giants of the Frankfurt School. On one side, there's Walter Benjamin. He's our optimist. He looks at brand new tech like cinema, and he sees his incredible potential for a revolution, right? A way to give the masses a whole new way of seeing the world. And then, on the other side, you've got Theodor Adorno, the pessimist. He's listening to the new sounds of jazz, and he just hears social disaster. A new kind of control that's just disguised as freedom. It really is hope versus despair. So yeah, let's dive in and unpack all this.
So you might be asking, why did a debate about culture matter so much? Well, simply put, it's because the world was on fire.
To really get this, you have to picture the 1930s. It was a time of absolute crisis. The Great Depression had just wrecked economies everywhere, and fascism was casting this long, dark shadow over Europe. Benjamin and Adorno, they were thinkers in exile, forced to run from Germany, and they were wrestling with this huge question. Why didn't the socialist revolution happen? And they started to realize the fight wasn't just in the streets anymore, it was happening in movie theaters and in concert halls. Mass culture? That had become the new ideological battleground.
And this is where Walter Benjamin just bursts onto the scene with this explosive idea. He argued that technology, the very thing that so many people were afraid of, could actually be a radical tool for liberation.
Now, Benjamin's view was really complex. He wasn't just some naive optimist. He totally saw that technology had, in many ways, impoverished human experience. But, and it's kind of like that famous Homer Simpson toast to alcohol, he believed technology was both the cause of our problems and the potential solution. It had the power to destroy, for sure, but it could also create a completely new, revolutionary kind of consciousness.
Okay, to really understand his argument, we need to get our heads around one super important concept, the aura. For Benjamin, an original masterpiece. Think the Mona Lisa hanging in the Louvre. It has an aura. It's this special, almost magical quality of uniqueness, of history, of authority, that comes from being the one and only original, sitting there in this sacred, ritualized space.
And Benjamin argued this aura isn't just for art. He actually used the example of nature itself. It's that feeling, that sense of deep distance and presence you get when you're looking at something unique and totally unapproachable, like a far-off mountain range. It's beautiful, sure, but as we're about to see, Benjamin thought it was also a tool of power.
And here's how that power dynamic works. The artwork's uniqueness creates this distance, both physically and psychologically. You can look, but you can't touch. You're standing in a quiet gallery. Well, this distance, it generates a kind of mystifying aura of authority. For Benjamin, this wasn't an accident. It was how the ruling class held on to its power over culture, using art to make their world seem harmonious and totally unchangeable.
So this is where Benjamin's truly radical idea comes into play. He believed that mechanical reproduction, things like photography and film, would completely shatter this power structure. I mean, when you can print 1 million posters of the Mona Lisa or watch a film in 1,000 different theaters at the same time, the original's unique aura just withers away. Art gets ripped out of the museum and delivered directly into the hands of the masses.
And he wasn't exactly gentle about it. He literally saw cinema as dynamite. The camera, with its close-ups, its slow-motion shots, it could blast open our prison world. It could show us the hidden realities of modern life that you just can't see with the naked eye, exposing how power really works and waking people up to their own situation.
But just as Benjamin was celebrating the revolutionary power of film, his colleague Theodor Adorno was listening to jazz, and he was hearing a very, very different story. For him, mass media wasn't a tool for freedom. No, it was a sophisticated trap.
Adorno's critique of jazz was absolutely brutal. He argued that what people thought was this rebellious, spontaneous thing, the improvisation, was really just a fig leaf. It was hiding a standardized commercial product. In its rhythms, he didn't hear freedom, he heard the rigid beat of military marches. He saw it as this kind of masochistic submission, basically training people to obey authority while they thought they were being rebels.
And this idea right here, it's at the very core of Adorno's theory of the culture industry. He believed that mass culture is always dangling the promise of satisfaction, of freedom, of pleasure, but it's designed to never actually deliver on it. It just keeps you wanting more, trapping you in this endless cycle of consumption. And he took this critique to a really deep psychoanalytic place. He argued that the syncopated rhythm of jazz, that signature offbeat excitement, wasn't a sign of freedom at all. To him, it was like a coming too early, a musical version of impotence, a kind of symbolic castration where people basically enjoy their own weakness and submit to a higher power. It's a dark, really provocative claim that just shows how deep his despair went.
So, who was right? The optimist, Benjamin, or the pessimist, Adorno? Well, as the 20th century played out, the answer got incredibly complicated. You know, history, it seems, has a pretty twisted sense of humor.
So let's start with Benjamin's main prediction. He was convinced that technology would free art from the rituals of the museum and the church, basically destroying its aura and turning it into a political tool.
That's the big question, isn't it? Did technology really destroy ritual and aura, or did it just invent new, maybe even more sophisticated versions of them?
Well, what actually happened was the aura struck back. That hushed reverence you feel in a museum was just replaced by the new ritual of the darkened movie theater. And yeah, while the aura of the original painting might have faded, a powerful new aura was manufactured around personality, the cult of the movie star. Celebrity worship became this new kind of secular religion. And things like VIP passes and red carpets, they just recreated the exact same distance and hierarchy that Benjamin was hoping to destroy.
At the end of the day, Hollywood became the ultimate culture industry. It turned into this massive machine for producing gods to be worshipped and then sacrificed, just like Adorno had warned. So, in a lot of ways, Benjamin's revolutionary dynamite was disarmed and just repackaged as another commodity. It ended up proving Adorno's deepest fears were right on the money.
Okay, so let's bring this all home, because this isn't just some history lesson. This debate from the 1930s is happening right now, probably in the palm of your hand.
Today, the debate looks something like this. On one side, you have the Benjamin view. Our tech is just a tool, right? An extension of ourselves that we control for our own purposes. But on the Adorno side, you have thinkers like Friedrich Hitler who argue the complete opposite. He said, "It is we who adapt to the machine. The machine does not adapt to us." The idea is that our desires, our politics, our very sense of who we are all being reshaped by the logic of our devices.
I mean, just think about Benjamin's original hope for a reception and distraction. He thought that being jolted by the fast cuts of a film would shake us out of our sleepy passive state. But today, reception and distraction looks a whole lot more like mindlessly scrolling through an endless feed. And that, well, that feels less like a revolutionary awakening and more like a tool designed to keep us passive.
So that brings us to the final question, and this one is for you. Think about the device you're probably watching this on right now. Is it a tool for political awakening? Could it be a modern version of Benjamin's dynamite, giving you access to information and connections that literally blast open that old prison world? Or is it a machine for incredibly sophisticated control, a modern version of Adorno's jazz trap, constantly promising connection and satisfaction while really just delivering a standardized counterfeit freedom that's designed to keep you scrolling, keep you consuming, and keep you submitting? The debate is over 80 years old, but finding the answer has never been more urgent.